everybody, this is Naughty Movies coming at you with my review of Cube, a 1997 Canadian low-budget horror film that I think is incredibly impressive, especially for the amount of money that it had. What they were able to pull off just blows me away. This movie was made on around $350,000 Canadian dollars, no less, and it just looks incredible for that kind of money. It just blows me away. So if you haven't heard of this film, which is entirely possible, especially based on the fact that it's Canadian and the budget and wasn't a massive release by any stretch of the imagination, basically the way this whole movie takes place in this structure. So if you think of a cube and then a bunch of little cubes inside of it, and there's people waking up in each of those little cubes, or not each, but several of those little cubes, and they come together and they figure out that within these little cubes there is a series of death traps that they must avoid in order to try to survive, and they just kind of go from cube to cube trying to figure out, one, why they're there, two, how to survive and get out, three, what the kind of relationships they have with one another. There's people that are much more cutthroat and are willing to put other people forward in order to make it out themselves. There's much more communal people. Why that they might have all been snatched and put in there despite their varying personalities. And much more than anything else, how to avoid these death traps. And they're very creative death traps. Like there's ones where people will be sliced in half or acid, but then there's ones where they'll be like cubed almost, and just the whole idea of the film is basically it does kind of play on a similar tone that movies like Saw and though that ilk played on years and years later, but centuries before. And it's much more not so much about the gruesomeness of the traps. I mean, that definitely adds to the tension of the film, makes you very much on edge because you know at any moment one of these traps could be brought upon the people that you've come to care about. But really it's much more about the mystery and like I said, the tension and the experience of because this movie isn't one where you're outside of it looking in, you're not through the mindset of a detective trying to figure it out or whatever. You are one of the people that are caught up in this situation and trying to find your way out, and you put yourself mentally in that kind of role, and while you're watching it you're thinking, oh, don't do that, you should be doing this and that kind of thing, you know. And I think it just works on a whole lot of levels. I want to point out the fact that it's just what they were able to pull off for the budget that they had is impressive. I mean, all the cubes look remarkably similar, which is part of the whole point of the movie, because there's like a circular motion, because you don't really necessarily can't keep track of necessarily if you're going definitely in this direction necessarily, and so you end up kind of coming back to the same rooms that you've been through because you get taken off guard by a trap and you lose the direction and all that kind of thing. So the fact that all the rooms play into all of that, they look all the same, but also probably helped a lot with the budget. But I mean, I just think this movie is definitely a must-see for horror fans. There is definitely a cult following for it, for good reason. There were 2 sequels, neither of which were anywhere close to as good, but you know, they weren't necessarily horrendous. They just were. They're not ones that I would sit here and say you need to go out and see like I would this one. So those are my thoughts on Cube, of just an outstanding film in my point of view. From my point of view, if you're a horror fan, let me know in the comments below what you think. If you've heard of this film, if you're a horror fan, if you're a fan of this series, if you saw the sequels and disagree with me and think that they're better than I'm letting on, whatever. Please hit that like button, hit that share button. It does awesome things for my channel. It makes it much more likely that other people will come and check out my videos, which is something that I absolutely love, because I love spreading the word. I love talking to people about film, and as those people, if you are one of those people that come and you're new here, please hit this subscribe button, hit that notification bell. It'll let you know when I put out new videos, and you can come and join the conversation, which just is something I value immensely. Other than that, have yourself a good day.